the Scottish Rite Temple in Indianapolis. It's more like a castle. It has a lot of history from Europe embedded in the stained glass, and has a theater that is dead air, he calls it, but it's like soundproof. And the organs are inside the walls, and so the inside is like part of the organ.
On the other side of the tree is maternal love. Of course, we don't have the tree here year round, but it used to be for a long time, the south door was the most frequently used because we have a cafeteria downstairs that prior to the pandemic, people used to come here during their lunch breaks and use the cafeteria here and hang out during their lunch breaks from the various places they worked in the downtown area. But the pandemic brought that to an end. You came in through the west, and it used to be the parking lot. I assume you parked in the parking lot. 33 feet by 33 feet, which is symbolized by the 33 degrees within the Scottish Rite. And that's supposed to be a translation of the Sanctum Sanctorum of King Solomon's temple. But in the Bible it says 20 cubits by 20 cubits, and somebody did mathematics that said, well, I just saw through the east door. And once you come into the temple, there'll be another structure, a cubic structure, and inside that would be the Holy Grail. You know, so if you know Indiana Jones.
Place my faith in God, double-headed eagle, and the sword that guards the gate to Eden.
Right, the sword does. With the G in it. That's the symbol of the first 3 degrees. The yod in the triangle, that's called the Lodge of Perfection. And then when you move over here, you see the scales balanced on a sword. That's called the Council degrees. And then then there's the Rose Croix degrees, which your feet is also on the Rose Croix. Stained glass windows on that side of the building. Oh, there's a building over there because light wouldn't come in. This is on the east side, and the light is not obstructed, so it comes through okay.
So all the rooms are in dimensions of 33 or 99, something he was saying.
Now that's the room which is American oak. And even the windows have more of an American theme in it. Because all the windows on this side take a theme of various dimensions of civilization and its contribution to humanity. The ones in these rooms are more particular to America. Like over there you have Benjamin Franklin, Abraham Lincoln. Now, Abraham Lincoln was not a Mason, but he was a Rosicrucian. Benjamin Franklin, of course, was a Mason. George Washington, of course, the most famous Mason. So much so that almost every Masonic lodge in America will have a picture of George Washington somewhere in the building, and we have a few in this one. Well, the oldest mystery schools in the world come out of Egypt, the Osiris mystery schools. And the degree structure that's employed by Masons is derivative of the kind of mystery school teachings that have their source in Egypt. So Egypt is very important. There's even an Egyptian rite. This came a little bit earlier than the Freemasons and actually created speculative Freemasonry. So maybe that would justify reference to how Jesus is characterized in the Gospel according to John.
These are the newer windows put in.
There are like these little splotches of red and blue. Music, Beethoven and Mozart were both Masons. In fact, if you know the magic flute, that actually has a Masonic theme all the way through it. And that last two is law and medicine. The floors downstairs, you got kind of a balcony, but then you got all this big space in between, and same thing upstairs. So here's some of the costumes that we use. We got some of the ancient, actually I got them a little out of order because theater productions.
So they reenact like Washington and...
Well, but it's not a historical reenactment, it's a theatrical reenactment. Those that are up there are sometimes called the Blue Lodge windows. The middle figure is King Solomon. Then on one side, this side, that's King Hiram. And then the other person is Hiram Abiff, who is considered to be the chief architect at the building of King Solomon's Temple. That's not 100% historically accurate. There was a Hiram Abiff who was a skilled craftsman at the building of King Solomon's Temple, but he wasn't necessarily the grand architect. Floors, because this floor opens up to the floor above. The floor above is obviously not a complete floor. So this is the ballroom. This is the favorite place for people doing wedding ceremonies. Yeah, well, actually, they usually do their banquet in here, and they do the marriage in the theater room. So we have all these electric candles laid out on the floor. And then we'd have an orchestra up on the stage. You're just a baby. I mean, I'm 70.
Yeah, but I've been a Mason for 25 years.
Huh?
So we're inside the organ
well, I'm
itself,
close to 50.
dead
What year
airspace,
were you raised?
2000.
and the organs are inside the
No, I was
wooden
1977.
frames.
Remember I told you about the moles? So it's right there. See that? So that's how you make those apparent carvings. We call it the stone room. We're definitely going to go in here. Because when the building was built, we asked various Masonic jurisdictions across the country to send us a stone from their state. And I guess some states like Nebraska couldn't follow direction, they sent us one too small. But you got one stone for every state in the Union. That, of course, was the original keyboard. They replaced it, and of course here we have one of the original projectors in the 1920s. And of course, we don't use that anymore, so we moved it in here. Getting it all wrapped up. It's sort of like no matter where you sit in the room, your eyes will follow you. This space down here, where we have very large banquets. in that area, and also we tutor children who are dyslexic on learning to read.
The building.
Well, actually, this is not one of the classes, it's just about the building. Yeah, so here we had 1889, so that's earlier than this building. So that would be I think that's the earliest class of Scottish Rite.
I saw inside the Scottish Rite Temple for the first time all the Christmas trees, and there's like 3 or 4 floors, and then you've got the bell tower. So we were able to see all the ballrooms and the theater, and downstairs as well. They have a lot of history of the Masons since the 1900s. Yeah, I could hear like sacred music in the beginning, like how it was meant to be. It kind of got lost in the history or in through time.